photography major. When I first came to NKU, I always wanted to pursue a degree in the arts. Photography has always been my creative outlet, and so it was kind of the obvious choice for what I should decide my major should be. I always try to include a narrative aspect to my work. Literature in particular has played a huge role in my life. Growing up, my mom worked at a library and she would bring home new books for my sisters and I to read every day. To me, literature is just as much of an art form as photography. So this is why I choose to tell stories through my photographs. And Ode was a way to incorporate that influence into my senior show. I chose poetry because of the freedom it gave me. Poems can mean different things depending on how you read it, who's reading it, how it affects you. So I wanted my photographs to have that same effect. Each photo in this series is my interpretation of an individual poem. All 8 of these poems mean a lot to me, and some of them have helped me get through times in my life when I was struggling, and they gave me hope and happiness. Others kind of inspired me to unleash my creativity. Poetry, just like photography, can be interpreted in many different ways. This show is a way for me to bridge the gap between my 2 favorite art forms. So I hope that as a viewer, you can take away from this what I wanted to give you, which is use your imagination, come up with your own ideas, and hopefully you'll enjoy my work. Thank you.
Questions for Taylor? Are all of your pieces multiple images, or are you staging these? Or maybe explain maybe one of your images on how it all came together.
Usually it depends on how much I want to manipulate the original photo. So if I take an image of a model and I don't like the background, then I'll take another image of a different background, a different sky, a tree, and I'll try to put them all into one image. This one in particular, I had a different model, sky, background, tree. I had to take pictures of different leaves, so that way it looked more intricate. So it kind of just depends on how I want to tell that story.
So do you think your work is more about the metaphor that the poem evokes, or the illustration?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. It's more about the illustration though. I would just read the poem, and then whatever image popped into my mind, I would try to recreate with my pictures.
Any other questions?
Time element. How long for a photo to put it together once you bring everything in?
The simpler ones, it usually takes me about 8 to 10 hours, but if it's something more intricate where I'm using different images for every aspect, could take up to a week or a month, depending on how much I need to fix or adjust.
All done in Photoshop or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Photoshop.
Helping on training to understand which one's the most intricate one.
The most intricate one, I would have to say, probably this one, just because the original image was a blank cabin background, and I had to take a separate image of the vines, and then I had to erase all the space in between the vines. And then I had one model, and I had to flip her over and make it seem like there's 2 separate people.
Any other questions for Taylor?
How did you decide on a design theme for your installation?
I wanted something that was wanted it to be fairly simple because the pictures themselves are so intricate.
How are the,
Would you consider these more of a collage or more of an illustration?
I'd say more of an illustration, only because with every image that I choose that's not originally in there, I do have to edit it in a way where I am using a paintbrush tool. I have to buff things out. Sometimes I have to alter things completely to where it kind of looks different than the original photo that I took it from. That's mostly the main reason why I would call them illustrations.
where do you go from here?
It's a good question.
What's your aspiration? Do you want to continue to do this sort of thing? Do you want to teach? What?
I did kind of think about teaching Photoshop just because a lot of people are interested in it, because it is a little intimidating. I know that before I learned, I thought it was just way too intricate and hard to use, and then once you do use it, it's amazing. But kind of wanted to teach, but then again, I like creating artwork like this, so I was thinking about trying to sell prints or something like that.
Last question for Taylor. Okay, we're going to move over here to the sculptural.